You know, the best things in life come in small packages. But that kind of, it's weird to say because we never did learn who said that. Or if we did, we never knew his height, his or her height. So they could be like a 6-foot person and think a small package is like a water case, or a small package, they're like 5'1", and a small package is a wedding ring box. Or they could have been a Smurf. Or me. Water's great, by the way. Hello everyone, my name's Stonesy Boy and welcome back to Reading with Stonesy. Today we are reading pages 201 to 220, being the final normal episode for this fantastic book. So, without further ado, let's learn about the tidbits of Toby's story. As the groups gathered and started their games, Toby checked out his group in the restroom. He left the gym, glancing over his shoulder. No one was around in the hallway. He detoured to the high school pool, which luckily was free of the period. A strong scent of chlorine filled his nostrils as he scanned the clear water. He couldn't pound the shadow off of him, nor could he scrub it off. Now it's time to see if tense matters. Hope you could swim, he said out loud to the shadow. Or not. He looked around at something heavy, but couldn't find anything in the pool area to weigh him down. He jogged to the weight room. There were some kids in there, lifting weights, but Toby managed to sneak in and grab a heavy weight vest. Smacked it at the pool, he slipped into his shoulders and buckled at his chest. He bounced at the balls of his feet and felt the vest as good as weight sink into him in the bottom. Keep him there. He walked back to the pool and stared at the still water. He bit his bottom lip. Not that he had to admit to anyone, but he was a little scared. He could swim, but he wasn't used to holding his breath for a long time. He paced back and forth along the deep end of the pool. Come on, you can do this. What could go wrong? Nothing really. And hey, this could work. You'd be free of the shadow and get on with your life. He finally stopped pacing and stood in front of the pool. After a big breath, he pinched his nose and jumped into the deep end. Toby slowly sank to the bottom of the pool. Even though the school claimed it was heated, the water still felt ice cold. With the vest holding him down, he sat at the bottom and waited. He blinked, looking around the pool area. He could feel the chlorine sting his eyes. He wondered how long it would be to hold his breath, and he wondered how the shadow could breathe at all. Did the shadows even breathe? He guessed he'd find out. It has to work, he thought. He could live forever with the darkness at his back. Not only would it drive him crazy, but it would be a constant reminder that he was a failure, a loser. I'd always win, and you always lose like a loser you're born to be. No, he couldn't live like this forever. Too fast. He felt his lungs were squeezing closed. So he pulled up the buckle to release the vest. But this is all the time he could have managed holding his breath. Hopefully it was enough to drown the shadow off him. Then Toby pinched the release. The buckle wouldn't unlatch. He tried to press the buckle and attach again, but it wouldn't let go. A surge of anxiety shot through him. Toby jerked the buckle, trying to pull it apart, and he urged to open his mouth to breathe. Panic clouded him as adrenaline flooded his system. He pulled himself to the floor on his feet, and he waited for the vest to pull him back down. He pushed again, paddling his arms, kicking his legs, trying to swim to the top, but he's too weak from not eating his last couple days. He sank back to the bottom, chewing his vest. No, someone help me, help! There's a splash in the pool above him. Someone swam toward him. Toby couldn't fight it anymore. He opened his mouth and swallowed water, and a person pulled into his vest at the top. Toby kicked his legs and hoped to get the two of them to the top. He broke through the surface, gagging up water. Water and snot dripped from his nostrils. The person helped to hook his arm into the edge of the pool. He coughed and sucked in his much-needed air. His legs burned. His entire body shuddered at each breath. Toby opened his eyes and drenched Tabitha Bing in a pool beside him. He was hanging into the side of the pool in one arm. His eyes stung, and he pressed his fingers into him. What the heck were you doing? She snapped at him. Toby pushed the hair out of his eyes, breathing hard. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Well, it better be good enough to reason not to report you to the principal, jerkwad. She pulled herself over the top of the ledge. Water streamed from her soaked PE clothes. Toby tried to climb out of the Tabitha, pulled his vest, struggling to get him into the platform. His body felt like a dead weight behind his drenched clothes and vest. And with both of them helping, they managed to extract Toby from the pool. Toby rolled to his back, and Tabitha fell to the platform beside him. You're for a skinny guy, you weigh a ton. He got to her feet and looked down at him. Water drops streamed down his arms and legs. Meet me at the soccer field at lunch, or I'm going straight to the office to report you. Toby coughed. It's not really your business. I just saved your life. I'm making it my business. So which is it? You meeting me, or am I going straight to the office? Tabby lifted a hand and let it drop. Yeah, fine, I'll be there. It wasn't trying to hurt myself, Toby said grudgingly to Tabitha. They sat together at the soccer field bleachers during lunch break. It was a nice day, but the breeze kept pushing clouds over the sun every so often, making it a little cold. Toby was a little chilled at the pool experience, so he huddled inside with his sweatshirt. Tabitha's hair was black and pulled away from his freckled face. Normally she wore makeup, but the pool water must have washed it all off. It was just eating a sandwich that smelled like peanut butter. Why the weighted vest? It was trying to stay down long enough as I could, but the buckle got stuck, and I couldn't release it and swim it fast enough. Toby cracked his knuckles. So, thanks for helping me out. Oh, you mean you're saving your life thing? She grabbed a hand. All in a day's work. You're a pretty strong swimmer. My parents always said I was born to swim, and I've been a junior lifeguard camp forever, she shrugged. Why did you want to stay down at the bottom pool for so long anyway? Toby shook his head. You couldn't tell her why he was trying to drown a shadow attached to his back, and that didn't work. When he went to the locker room to change, he saw in the mirror that he was still there behind him, more intense and scarier than before. Here, have some of my lunch. You look like you need it, she said, handing himself a sandwich. You put his hand to his guts. Now my stomach is upset. It's just some bread and peanut butter. Try it. Toby accepted the half sandwich and took a small bite. It was gooey in his mouth. He was able to get it down. It seemed like he could keep it down as well. He realized the relief. Why did you follow me? Toby asked her. He shook her head and shrugged. You looked, I don't know, like you could use a friend. Toby didn't have anything to say to that. What does meeting a friend look like? You couldn't believe me if I told you, she said to him. What? That was what you said at the pool. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. What do you mean by that? Toby wasn't sure why, but he had a search to throw caution into the wind and tell her everything. He wanted to tell someone because it would keep all the stuff stressed him out. Yeah, Reggie could actually see the shadow, but Toby wouldn't tell Reggie everything. Maybe it was time to get it off his chest. Staring down at her half sandwich, he started to tell Tabitha about hide and seek, how he cheated the game and broke it, how the shadow was now attached to him and he could seem to get rid of it. But for some reason, he felt that couldn't handle bizarre truth. That he wouldn't run off and tell someone he was crazy. It was somewhat liberating to finally unload the entirety of the crazy secret to someone else. He found himself exiled in relief. Who knew keeping such a secret was so exhausting? That sounds completely and utterly terrifying, she said, and looked at him. I can see it. Toby nodded. I can only see it in the mirror. For real? She nodded. Yeah, you believe me? It actually sounds too crazy to be made up, so I know to believe it, and that's all it makes it matters to me. People deal with their own darkness in different shapes and forms. Okay, so she didn't completely believe him, but Toby understood. He can't even believe it, and she looked every day in the mirror, and it could relief to get it all over, and for her not to tell him he was crazy. And you thought you could drown it? And how'd that work out for you? I'm just trying everything I can. It didn't work anyway. Have you told your mom or dad? Just my dad. Tried to tell him and my brother, but they didn't understand what I was talking about. They couldn't see it either. But you told me. Toby sighed. I don't know why. She nodded. Sometimes it's easier to tell a stranger. I get it. So why did you cheat the game? Toby picked up the sandwich. Have you ever felt like you're never good at anything? Well, yeah, you can't be good at everything. No, he stared at her. Good at anything at all, like a total loser. She looked at her head. No, and you're not a loser. His lips curved in sarcastic smile. Right. Have you not seen the way the teachers look at me? Like Dylan Hall? I'm not worth their time. Look, life is what you make it. You can't think like that. I don't think like that. I feel it. It doesn't matter anyway. I wanted to win, and I thought the only way I could was by cheating. It was stupid. She didn't say anything to that, and instead pulled a small circular mirror from her bag. Okay, let's see it. Slowly shook her head, scooted away from her. No way. She waved the mirror. Come on, why not? It's bad. Really bad. You don't even understand how bad. She stared at him. I can handle it. He stared at her with wide eyes. I can't even handle it. Okay, fine, but you don't have to show me. She slipped the mirror back. So, what are you going to do about it? Take her to the soccer field. He wasn't really seeing it. I'm going to beat it. What other choice do I have? They sat a few minutes in silence before Tabitha said, let me see your phone. He glanced at her. Why? Just let me see it, she said, annoyed. Tabitha began to her phone. She called a number, and her phone rang. And then she typed something in his phone and handed it back. I added myself as a contact. You know, if you ever need me to save you again. Toby actually cracked a smile. Okay, thanks. Toby went home after school. Usually he's starving by the time he strolled in the kitchen, but today he felt different. Nervous, agitated. He definitely wanted a serious loss of appetite. He grabbed a banana, and then his phone alerted him a text from Tabitha. Hey, I know an excellent counselor you can talk to. No way. Okay, fine. Toby shook his head and clicked off the phone, but he couldn't help smiling a little. Tabitha was kind of cool. She took everything he told her and didn't look at him weird. It was cool to have a new friend. Not that he'd tell her that. Toby walked and a few kids at school, and he didn't tell them friends. He used to have a best friend named Manny, but he moved away with his family, and Toby was in middle school. Since then, Toby was kind of shut himself off from the other kids. Maybe it was time to open up again. Just to keep his energy, he attempted to eat a banana. He got about half of it down before he felt gagging. His head jerked up, and he knocked around the side of the door. Who could that be? He answered the door, a clean-cut police officer with brown skin, short, buzzed hair, and a mustache. Toby swallowed hard. He could still see the half-eaten banana in his hand. I'm looking for Toby Billings, he said. That's me. Toby adjusted the beanie in his head. I'm Officer Jimmins, Toby. I'm here to break in and vandalism at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and Games. Dan Harbour stated that you worked there and that you were on shift that evening. He gave me your address. Uh-huh. Officer Jimmins had a small notebook and a pen in his hand. Can you talk me through the shift that evening? Toby looked at his banana. Well, I vacuumed the carpet of the main party room and arcade, swept up the bathrooms, wiped down the tables, put up chairs, picked up trash on the floor, my regular stuff. What time did you end your shift? Mr. Harper said. You must have forgotten to write that in your timesheet that time you left. Toby scratched his neck with a free hand. Yeah, I was off at 11 p.m. I must have forgotten to sign out. Yeah, because I ran out. Officer Jimenez wrote something down in the notebook. What time did you see the game before it was vandalized? Well, after closing. Wait, would you have said that? So around 10 p.m.? He nodded. Yep, I think so. There were no signs of a break-in, Toby. Did you notice anyone hanging around who wasn't supposed to be there after closing? Blew out of breath, shook his head slowly. Nope, no one. Same thing I told Dan. I checked the stalls in the play area where the kids tend to hide. Officer Jimenez looked directly into Toby's eyes. Toby, I want you to be completely honest with me. Yeah, okay. Did you vandalize the game hide and seek? What? I have to ask. You were the last one to see the game. You were working in the restaurant near the time of the crime. Everyone else was in the kitchen. You didn't sign out at the end of your shift. Maybe you were in a hurry because you vandalized the game. Maybe you were upset with your boss or something. You have seen it happen before, and I didn't want to get in trouble, so you ran. Is that how it happens? That we come back. No, it wasn't me. Yes, it was. Okay, he said sternly. That's all for now. Let Mr. Harper know if you remember anything else, if you want to tell him anything. Yeah, okay. Officer Jimenez nodded his head. Have a good day. And Toby nodded in return. He closed the door. It's still tense. He wondered if the officer believed him. It sounded like that. It sounded like he thought Toby did it. He wondered if he was going to get caught. Toby scrubbed the hand down his face. There was too many things to focus on. He was trying to do his best to figure out how to free the shadow. So he also had to worry if he was ever going to get caught for breaking hide and seek. One thing at a time, please. He walked to the kitchen and threw a half-eaten banana in the garbage, then detoured to the front room. Besides his dad's recliner was a small tray table with a lighter and an ashtray. He grabbed the lighter and flicked it, but it didn't light. He shook the lighter and flicked it again. This time it flamed lit. The bottom of his lip staring at the small flame. Maybe. He released the igniter, then shook his head, muttering, "No freaking way." He tossed the lighter back in the tray. What was the cop at the door? Toby jumped to the whirlwind toward his dad. Dad, you scared me. I didn't know how you're home. Where's your car? Getting a tune-up. I took the day off. Why the cop? What do you want with you? Toby cracked his knuckles. There was a break-in at Freddy's. Just routine. Questioning the employees who were there that night. Are you sure that's all it was? Toby blinked. Yeah, why wouldn't it be? You're kind of trouble with breaking the law. No, Dad, but he was in trouble. Dad nodded. He sat in his recliner and turned to his television. Toby walked away. And then he turned around and stared at his dad. He wanted to tell him the truth. He wanted to tell him that he cheated the game, destroyed it in anger. That the game had somehow attached to him and followed him home. He wanted to tell him that his dad could help him, so he could do what parents are supposed to do and help their kids in any way they're in trouble. It was just so the emotions of life, and everything was okay when nothing was okay. Not to pretend like he never had a wife, and Toby Connor never had a mom. He was pretending he had two happy sons who never called each other's name and fought with their fists. As if life was all about working for a paycheck and watching sports. Dad? Yeah, Tobes? Dad said, not taking his eye off the television. Why did Mom leave us? Dad didn't move his head from the screen. He didn't even flinch at the unexpected question. Toby wondered, when was the last time he ever saw his dad expression any emotion, other than excitement or disgust from watching sports? His dad was pretty much mellow type. Toby had never seen him seriously angry other than to yell at the refs on television. Then he told Connor and Toby something. He was very calm and rational. Maybe it was a bonus for having a parent who didn't yell or ever scold you. A minute passed when he waited for an answer from Dad. Then 2 minutes. After 5 minutes, he realized he wasn't going to get an answer. He didn't know if it was because Dad didn't have one. He didn't feel Toby could handle the truth. Toby left the room and got ready for work. Toby kept up his regular routine and went an hour before the shift and played games at the arcade. When he arrived, he noticed the hide-and-seek door propped open and with the sign stated out of order. Curious about hide-and-seek, he slid his hands inside his pockets and walked inside the game room. Then there was a tall, skinny guy standing in the control box. He had a laptop in his arm and seemed to be rebooting the game. His hair was blonde and spiky. He wore thick framed glasses. "Hey," Toby said to the guy, "how's it going?" "All right," he said, eyeing him. "You know the game's out of order. You're supposed to be in here." Toby cleared his throat. "Yeah, well, I work here. I gotta start my shift soon." The tech guy seemed relaxed a little. "Well, truthfully, then, I'm doing so good. Hide and seek here won't reboot. And it says it's rebooting, but once it starts again, it goes back to previous game every time. It must be some kind of wiring issue. It's stuck?" "Yeah, stuck in some game mode with the last player. Some kid named Toby." All the blood stream rushed out of Toby's head. He felt faint. "Really? Can't you just shut it down and restart it?" "Normally, yeah, but something's off. I'm telling you, it won't stop the game. Never seen anything like it. Must be a defunct. Dan ain't gonna like to hear that, not after he found out whoever tore up the game also took the rabbit." "What?" "Bonnie the rabbit. The character, the black cutout rabbit, the game is gone. Whoever messed up the game took the rabbit right off the wall as some kind of souvenir. Can't believe it. Probably stuck it in the room and threw darts at it or something. Kids these days, no offense." "Yeah, none taken." Then the tech guy shut his laptop. "Well, gonna give Dan more bad news. I've asked him to put a camera in from the beginning, but he's always dishing out a boatload for this game. Anyway, I'd stay clear of him today if I were you, kid. Maybe he shouldn't have ever stalled this game. Yeah. Anyways, Dan's a good guy. I just want the best for the business. Give the family some entertainment, a place for to have fun. This is how he repaid. Sucks, you know." When the tech guy left, Toby quickly strode through the kitchen. Smells pepperoni and melted cheese. He walked to the single-employee bathroom and closed the locked door behind him. He leaned his hands on the other side of the pedestrian sink, staring at the small mirror in the wall. He stared into the darkness at his back, and all anger and frustration he had inside him. He hadn't taken the rabbit cut out of the game. No, he decided on his own to leave with Toby. And Toby stared hard at the shadow, two eyes open, and blinked at him. Toby lurched back and yelped. His heart pounded like a drum. He grabbed the door, trying to open it, but because he was staring at the horror in the mirror, he forgot he locked it. His eyes took his eyes off the shadow for a second, and locked the handle and whipped open the door. He rushed out and ran into Dan. Toby stopped short, breathing hard. Dan? Dan gave him a weird look. You alright, kid? Toby cracked his knuckles, trying to stake it from his boss. Yeah, why? He looked nervous about something. Toby adjusted his meaning. No, I'm fine, really. His face heated because he knew it was far from fine. Dan eyed him some more. Okay, kid, whatever you say. Then he walked to his office. Toby staggered against the bathroom door. His dog signaled a new text. It was from Tabitha again. What about an herbalist? They can give you stuff to calm your nerves. No way. Well, just an idea. I'm here at Freddy's. Come meet me in the arcade. Surprised, Toby clicked off the phone and he turned to the arcade to find Tabitha, who was peering over a kid's shoulder. He played a game. Reggie was right beside her, eating pink cotton candy on a stick. Toby stopped at her side, rubbing his damp palms on his shirt. What are you doing here? He was already nervous, but it made him even more nervous to have her at the scene of the crime when he had confessed to her. And he told her the secrets. He'd been to a separate game every day. He didn't know how much were Freddy's, but now the separate worlds were colliding. It felt weird and uncomfortable. Tabitha smiled and she looked around the arcade. This is a cool place. I've never actually been here. My parents aren't into places like these. It's a family pizza restaurant. She shrugged. We're vegans. He looked back to Toby, her smile dropping away. Hey, are you okay? Yeah, fine. Who's your friend, Toby? Reggie butted in. Hey, I'm Reggie. I recognize Reggie. Tabitha. Reggie looked at Toby and lifted his eyebrow a couple of times in an annoying way. You come here often? He asked her. No, first time. Toby frowned at Reggie. He knew Tabitha wasn't regular. He was up to hit with him. He took Tabitha by the elbow and guided her away. Over his shoulder, he watched Reggie keep pointing to Toby, then down his back. Then he made a gesture like he was a huge, and then a scary face, and then he mouthed very slowly, shadow bigger. Toby rolled his eyes, and then asked Tabitha, what are you doing here? I want to see the game. Toby shook his head. No way, can't. It's out of order. No one's supposed to be in there. Can I at least see the outside of it? Please, I'm curious. Toby sighed. He didn't think it was much of a good idea, but he felt didn't let her see it. She'd just keep on it until she got her way. Fine, then you better go. Okay, and look, I trust you with this. Don't make me regret it. I won't, I promise. She crossed her heart with her finger. Toby led her to the arcade at the door, hide and seek. She crossed his arms, and then she studied the shadow rabbit and the logo. Seems so innocent, but you know something's dark and scary for a friend. She looked at Toby. How do you feel? Like it's always there, and I'm never going to get rid of it. Toby shifted uncomfortably. That's why he always liking her stuff like that. You'll beat this, Toby. I'm making a list of ideas. You like the ones I've been texting you about. I'm going to help you figure out how to solve this. We're going to get you out of that other place. Toby just stared at her, not knowing what to say, other than why. Why did she want to help him? Why did she even care? He wasn't sure he wanted to help anyway. She wasn't sure if he totally trusted anyone the way. It must have been a long time since he trusted anyone. He learned getting let down pretty much sucked. He adjusted his beanie inside. Whatever you want to do. Toby was running from someone, or something. It was dark night. The pale light of the full moon washed across the scene. Stars sprinkled above. Trees and bushes loomed over an area surrounding a small playground as his heartbeats were running a mile a minute. His breaths were coming out of his mouth at a pace he was certain he couldn't maintain. He hid behind a tree, trying to catch his breath. Something dark and fast torpedoed past him, so fast, Toby's hair moved as his brushes wind. Holy cow, Toby whispered. It was a shadow. It was something moved faster than his eyes could follow. How was he going to escape something so quick? He launched himself into off the tree and running by a grocery store or the school. The streets were empty of cars and people. He spotted the police station up ahead. He had to get there and get help. He shoved through the door. Someone please help me. There's something after me, please. But then he looked around. There's no officers. Hello? Where is everyone? Come on, I need help here. But the place was deserted, as if everyone had just walked away at the same time. Toby jerked his head toward the doorway. He felt the darkness coming. He wasn't sure how, but he knew it was getting closer. He whipped his head left and right, and his nerves scrambled throughout his body. He spotted an empty desk and a dove behind it, and squatting underneath it, pulling his knees to his chin. He heard the doors to the police station burst open. Toby started to sound and squeezed his eyes shut. Please don't find me, please don't find me. The shadow raced past the desk. Toby heard a clank of the jail cell doors, finding it empty. The darkness roared with him and timber and 1,000 angry beasts. Monstrous, terrifying. Toby bit his bottom lip in order to scream himself. His entire body started to shake. The shadow rushed to the desk again. And Toby sat for a moment, and then wanted to get some distance between him and the shadow. He licked his dry lips. I think it's gone. He slowly crawled out of his hiding space, and then he stood. He froze in horror. The shadow reared itself before him, with darkness crackling out of energy. The shadow's narrow eyes peered down at Toby. Toby stepped back and Shadow moved closer. Stay away from me, Toby shouted. But the shadow continued to lurch closer, and nearer to the guy. The bigger it became, until it loomed over. Toby was like a mountain of unforgiving darkness. The shadow's power was creating a vortex of energy that blew through the room. Toby's hair flew back, and his clothes flattened against his body. Toby threw his hands over his head, and darkness crashed down, swallowing and surrounding him. Anger, despair, fear seemed to fill him up. He swung his fists in terror and rage, trying to find it, but his arms just swung through air. The shadow devoured him. It leached through his eyes, through his nostrils. Toby shrieked, swallowing the darkness in his throat. Toby woke up screaming, "No!" And so far, that'll be the end of that. And with that, we now have completed the last normal episode, with making next episode a very, 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 very long episode. So, next episode, we are reading pages. Come on, white screen of death. Today we have read pages 201 to 220, and next time we are reading pages 221 to 232. Finishing this book and finishing another book fully completed on this channel. So, I hope you guys have a super fantastic, wonderful day. Like, be fashion, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And next time we will finish the Blackbird. Feels like yesterday since we started. Bye-bye.